Look at this. Joe and I decide to start a showdown show on Mondays and Thursdays on our channels. Little did I know Joe would be banking for 59K. The people are flooding in. They want the screenshot life. They want to tail Joe Holka. I assume you talked about it for a long time on your stream today, but we got to mention it here.
Too many victory laps, man. Let's move on. There's plenty of time. Hey, we got 2 weeks for me to give this back and still not have any tax obligation at all, man. So that's the plan. Just play a little bit above my means and hopefully either give some of this back or I don't know. Maybe we bank something again. Who knows? But I'm tired. We can't talk about it anymore. Andrea's probably listening right now. She's getting a little bit cocky with her lineup building, even though I did beat her again. But the thing we got going right now with these like small field, like 3-max stuff, I wasn't sure if it would really work for Showdown and probably just a little bit overconfident right now. So if anyone here in the chat just wants to like do the opposite of what I do, that's probably plus EV at this point.
I will say one thing. Earlier this year when I had my 2 really good Showdown wins, they were back-to-back slates, a Sunday night, Monday night. So I'm just saying it could be in the cards for you tonight. So let's talk about this Ravens Browns game. Just to give you guys the thesis of the show here again, it's like the name. It's just a cram session here. We're going to go for about 15 to 20 minutes just to get us all in the right mindset here as we finalize our lineups. You know, we're not going to get into the weeds, get our hands in the dirt on every single little thing. We're going to talk construction, some leverage spots. And actually, Joe, I think we have some interesting late news as far as inactives here that's changing things. Maybe people on the surface not realizing it. So let's jump into it here. First of all, from a construction standpoint, you know, we have a middling total, not a huge spread. You're not going to see a lot of 5-1 builds tonight. Historically, you're not going to see those winning a lot. So we are going to be more focused on 3-3-4-2s. Do you have a preference here now that you started hand building?
Yeah, so I think like these type of slates where it is roughly like kind of even overall, I'm with you on the 4-2 and 3-3. I tend to like my 3-3s a little bit more today for whatever reason, because then you don't really have to pick a clear direction on captain. You can just kind of let the math do its thing and just try and get leverage where it is. I think it makes a lot of sense too for a slate like this where there's a quarterback that has rushing ability, of course. Like you don't really have to go with a 4-2 in favor of a Baltimore heavy team, in my opinion. You could still just either skinny stack Lamar with another piece, or maybe, I mean, I think that what's interesting about these slates, if you did want to go 4-2, maybe you go Lamar one piece, you hit on that one piece, the other side of it maybe is a little bit more spread out. So I think the pricing is kind of interesting as well. You mentioned that late news, so that's kind of flipping the slate on its head a little bit. I thought I was relatively set, but apparently not, man. So as you tell us about this news, I'm just going to grab more action, since apparently this is my most plus EV slate of the year, just running it back, right? So I'm going to see if there's anything good out there.
Yeah, let's continue the tease here of the play that I like here from the late news. And you mentioned Lamar Jackson. If you're looking at optimal lineups, if you're looking at captain projections, he's the guy. He separates from the field projection wise. All of the sites I've looked at for ownership have him as the clear captain. What I think is interesting, though, is it's kind of a free-for-all. You know, I look at ownership, I look at ETR, I look at Roto-Grinders, I look at Awesemo. All of them have kind of the secondary options at captain all shuffled around to where there's no kind of distinct, clear second cut guy. If you don't go Lamar Jackson and captain, do you have a favorite?
This is like your guy, so I feel like I'm stealing this from you a little bit. I feel like you always bring up Kareem Hunt, but someone that is like very active in the passing game, I think most people are probably just going to skew towards Nick Chubb if they do go the running back route. So I think that's kind of interesting, or maybe even just getting kind of weird with some of these cheaper wide receivers. Like I think Willie Snead is kind of in like a weird price range, so maybe he ends up going super under owned at captain. I mean, I guess one of the things that I've been talking about is just not playing these quarterback captains. Maybe this is a bad slate to do that overall, but I think that like it might be the plus EV move like over like the long period of time to just like not really just like hold hands with that type of ownership. Like what are you doing with these quarterback captains? Like I know you've been kind of underweight on them as well, but you kind of let it ride a little bit after you figure out your main spots, right?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting here. I have a bunch of the optimal lineups pulled up, and even though it is very heavy on Lamar Jackson, I mean, the other guys you're seeing there are Baker Mayfield's, Nick Chubb, and even a little bit of Justin Tucker, which is super interesting. I don't know if I'm going to have the stomach to play that at all, but it is, intriguing just because he does have a decent projection. I actually saw Awesomo's kicker projection was actually pretty high on him, to the point where you were getting like 60% of him in just pure optimals, not captain, but just all over the place. So that is one thing that I think stood out for me. I'm less inclined to use Baker as a captain. I think to me, he's like one of those like fast track bullies, in those really good matchups, we see him take off and then he can really struggle here. So I'm expecting way more running from the Ravens, and Baker's just not a captain I'm too excited about.
I guess the thing that's kind of frustrating on the Ravens side, like if you do believe that they're going to run the ball a lot, they just have like this 3-headed backfield. Like J.K. Dobbins maybe, but he's expensive, man. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with that backfield. I kind of went into it thinking that J.K. Dobbins might be the play, but man, 8,200. I don't know. That's tough for me personally. I think that even like you can make an argument that Gus Edwards is pretty overpriced as well. So it's a scary game to be I guess on the pass catchers, but I think what could make this entire slate is just figuring out who like that secondary option is for Lamar Jackson, or maybe like that third option for Lamar Jackson that's a little bit cheaper. I don't know. What do you think about this backfield though? Because that's something that like the projections do not like the running backs at all in the Ravens.
Yeah, no, they don't like it at all. And I mean, from a projection standpoint, it's really tough, right? Because they are splitting it 3 ways, and then it's like rolling a dice in the red zone. They're mixing around those red zone carries. So yeah, we want to get excited about J.K. Dobbins. We see Cam Akers break out. We see Jonathan Taylor break out. We're all like, J.K. Dobbins is this level of a talent. Will the Ravens give him the workload to break out? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to go that way. And I ended up underweight. I have 10% Dobbins, 5% Mark Ingram, and no Gus Edwards. So that's kind of what I'm doing with that. I'm just not making bets on the Ravens running game. Obviously, if I were, I would be betting on the younger, talented guy. One other interesting thing here on the Ravens side, we have 2 guys popping in my injury return model, Joe, coming out of COVID here. Willie Snead, you mentioned him, and then Mark Andrews as well. On Showdown slates, we're not going to get a huge discount on those guys coming back like we would on a main slate. But I do think both of those guys are interesting, particularly Willie Snead, who I think immediately steps into these 3 wide receiver sets. We had been getting a mixture of Duvernay and Boykin. I assume Boykin is the odd man out here, and it's kind of Duvernay, Snead, and Marquis Brown. Do you have any takes on this offense with those guys returning?
Yeah, I'm with you that Boykin probably is the one that's not going to make it into like my 3 max build. I think I might actually just run out 2 lineups today. So he's kind of the odd man out of that group. Duvernay is a little bit cheaper. Like their projections like relatively similar across the industry right now. So I think Duvernay just at the price discount makes some sense. He's still running a decent amount of snaps. I think that just like taking the price overall for him makes some sense. I like Willie Snead a little bit just because I think he's a little bit overpriced. So as I'm trying to figure out who my captain exposure is going to be, I don't know. You can basically play whatever you want at that point. I guess it depends too what you want to do with this value play that you're going to hold until the end and make people stay here and get. But yeah, I think that playing the chalk and then playing like something kind of weird is probably what this slate's going to come down to. Let me ask you this though, because you mentioned Awesemo. I've been kind of studying his lineups a little bit in the smaller field, high stakes stuff. He runs out double defense like all the time. Like he does it like a ton. And especially on some of these gross games, I don't know what to do. Like at what point is defense captain like a thing, right? Like I don't know. Cause he always is way ahead in the beginning when they start out with 10 points or whatever. But have you done much research into like these double defense teams for these like kind of slow paced games? Like the kicker stuff is interesting obviously as well, but I kind of end up fading these. And I think that that's mostly bad. And I've just had some good variants on my side.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit last week. I mean, the thing that's tough with defenses is they never project well. Like when you look at optimal, so like I had run a bunch of lineups. I was getting 2% Browns, 10% Ravens, whereas I was getting 32% Justin Tucker, 24% Cody Parkey. And it's mainly just a projection thing. So sure, if you boost the projection or you boost the randomness on those defenses to try to get the outlier games, then I think you can find them into your lineup. But again, I think it's tough for both of them to end up there, because if one of them is returning points for touchdowns, that's going to make it tougher for the other defense to be doing the same. So I don't know. I don't love doing it. I think the merit to it is that it helps you get really unique. Like you can probably play 4 just absolute chalk smashes around the 2 defenses. I think I'd prefer to do that strategy though with 2 kickers.
Yeah, I'm just looking at, and the one thing that like we differ, obviously you're playing mostly 20 max stuff, but still running out and just letting the math kind of do its thing. I'm trying to correlate a little bit more in 3 max and single entry stuff. So like just looking at Justin Tucker in general, like if you have a Justin Tucker lineup, you're probably not playing with Lamar. You're probably not playing it with Andrews. You're probably not playing with Marquis Brown. Like pretty significant. Like you don't even always see this with kickers. Like it's a pretty significant negative correlation, especially for guys like Andrews and Willie Snead, who are pretty touchdown heavy overall. So I think if I end up on a Tucker team, it might be one where I do take a shot on one of these running backs for the Ravens, and it ends up being mostly salary heavy on the Cleveland side. Do you think that makes sense?
Yeah, I do. The way in the bigger tournaments I'm playing, I'm less worried about correlation and I'm just worried about being unique. So I'm just less concerned with, I have Tucker in here. How does that game script work out? Because I'm really just trying to hit like a miracle parlay. But in the field sides yours playing, I think it definitely makes sense to take those things into consideration. So yeah, speaking of, we won't tease people anymore. I thought there was a pretty significant inactive here on the slate. So Luke Wilson is not active for the Ravens, which he was projecting best. I had looked at Leone's projections earlier. He had him projected for 3.5, 4 points. And I know we might laugh and be like, well, why do we care about that? But in Showdown, where we're trying to milk out every last point, these things matter. And now we just have Eric Tomlinson as the only guy, other tight end, projecting for anything on the Ravens side. And so at 200, with even just a modest projection of around 3 points, that's really interesting, because a lot of times when we get these value punt plays, they come with a ton of ownership. And because I think this news broke later, I really only think he's going to be in 2-3% of lineups. So when I'm doing my work to make sure I don't have a lot of duplicates, I'm getting a lot of lineups with Eric Tomlinson. And sure, could that go south very easily? Yes. But if we get a few catches and I'm able to do it cheaply and unique, I think that is a situation we don't actually get a ton on Showdown slates.
Yeah, and I think like I feel like we just like say this every single time, but what's so much more important than finding the best plays and just all of that type of stuff is what contests are you playing. So like for me, like 200 or less people, like roughly, is like what I'm really focused on. So like I can take an Eric Tomlinson 0. It doesn't really matter, because at that point I'm already probably unique because he's not going to be very highly owned. And then I can play some of the best plays from there, right? So even if I take that 0, when I'm not trying to find that top 1% lineup, like I like finding a guy that is at least reasonable at that type of like salary level, because then at that point it becomes just like trying to get in the best plays and your combination is a little bit more unique. So like I just locked in Eric Tomlinson and ran some optimals. Yeah, I can play whatever I want basically.
Yeah.
And it does end up coming out with like pretty similar projections as some of the other stuff I was running, but I think these teams might be a little bit more unique, even if he gets to 0.
Yeah. And to Joe's point, like some of because I'm very conscious of dupes. Like I play that big 3 max that has 191,000 people in it. Like the only thing that matters is making sure you're not duplicated. And look, I'll admit it, it's hard to put good positive EV lineups in there that aren't duplicated. And so, yeah, sometimes you're going to have some dupes, but Tomlinson seems like a way to do that tonight without just being completely off the board. And, just as an anecdote, my good showdown hit I had earlier this year, it was that Saints Raiders game. And the field all had Jalen Richard because he was projecting well as the cheap value pass catching back. And I played Zay Jones at like sub 1% ownership. At the time he was projecting as like their 5th wide receiver. And yeah, but all it took was a couple catches and for him to outscore Jalen Richard as the other cheap punt option. And all of a sudden now you're unique and lapping the field. So those are the moves we're looking for. I mean, now that we're moving the needle, Joe, we got 212 people. I mean, Eric Tomlinson ownership, are we worried it's going to get out of control here?
Yeah, I mean, I might just have to start playing like the 2K entry or something like that, because none of those guys are watching our show. But I think that like what you said, like even just like last night or whatever, like my big differentiator was Washington, right? Because a lot of people are playing Claypool. He's like, I mean, just in general, he's the one that has a lot of volatility. He was cheap. He was very low owned, at least in some of the stuff that I'm playing, at least because he was a little bit overpriced. So I think that you don't even have to find the guy that's cheap. Sometimes you can just find the guy that is like pretty overpriced. It's not going to be hitting in any of these optimals. So I think Willie Snead might be that guy as well if you didn't want to completely punt it off with Eric Tomlinson. So I'm kind of messing around with an either or type of situation where Eric Tomlinson or Willie Snead and just seeing what kind of builds out from there.
Yeah. Oh, this is going to be so funny when Tomlinson bagels tonight and then everyone's mad at me. Yeah. We're either all going to win like $100,000 prizes or everyone's going to be pissed. If you guys are watching, please subscribe to the channel. We got a link to Joe's channel in the show notes and in the title as well. We will be on his channel on Thursday nights, and then we pop over to the Line Movement channel to do the full main slate breakdown. But it seems like you guys are enjoying this, so we will keep these rolling on Mondays and Thursdays. Joe, people want to talk about the Browns tight ends. Harrison Bryant and David Njoku are the two that are projecting well. I'm looking at Leone's projection. He has them very close, and I have so much more Njoku than I do Harrison Bryant just because you're getting a $3,200 price discount. I think the ownership's going to be similar too. So if I'm just flipping all those coins, I'm going to take the price discount. And that's what's played out in my lineups. I have 29% Njoku and only 8% Harrison Bryant. Do you have a take on the Browns tight ends?
Yeah, so I actually looked at Harrison Bryant because I was curious. Like I said, I'm looking a little bit deeper at correlations and that sort of thing, and trying to get some of the small samples out of there. But like I mentioned, I like Kareem Hunt and the captain quite a bit. Just has some leverage off some of the more popular ones, and he correlates very well with Kareem Hunt. So I have some interest there. I think that if you wanted to go to one of these guys, like we're not playing, like, I guess what would your construction look like if you are playing one of these tight ends? You're probably not playing both of them. Do you think Baker's necessary in them though?
I don't think they are. I'm looking at some of mine here, and I definitely have Bryant without Baker in some of my lineups. But like you said, I'm mainly letting the math dictate that. But it kind of intuitively makes sense, right? Like if these guys have a red zone role and they're only going to catch 2 to 3 balls, but they have some touchdown equity, I think it makes sense that they don't need Baker. Whereas if you think of Jarvis Landry more, right, like they're going to be pretty correlated compared to the tight end. So I don't, in Showdown, I never mind playing one-offs, but particularly here, I think it's fine.
Yeah, and Njoku's like way cheaper than I originally thought as well. So I get the value of both of them. I just don't think I'm playing them both together, I think.
Yeah, I saw someone mention too, Patrick Ricard, who's kind of like the fullback there on the Ravens, as another kind of one of those cheap, unique punt play kind of differentiators. And I'm on board with that. I do prefer Tomlinson. I think he's going to project a little bit better, but I think, again, that's the same type of play we're talking about. Cheap, $200, get yourself a unique lineup and just hope he maybe steals a touchdown or takes a little wheel route pass for, 30 yards and you're in business. So yeah, I do not mind that. It's hard to like shoot down a play on Showdown slates. You can really justify anything as long as you're building your lineups in a smart way. Sam asked, am I going to berate us into liking the video? I feel, I was cranky.
Your brand now, which is amazing.
See, I was cranky yesterday, Joe. I feel like I'm in a better mood. I'm just going to politely ask. Should we just politely ask them to like the video?
That doesn't not work. That doesn't work. No one cares about being polite.
I guess I'll have to do shows after the slate when I'm angry and drunk, and then I will yell at people. So
I thought you're toning down the drinking a little bit, I hear, man. The people don't like that. That's not good for your brand, man.
I like how I go one day without drinking. And my wife had a glass of wine tonight, and I wanted to do it so bad. And I was like, I just need a night off.
Like people are asking you like, what's wrong?
Yeah. What's wrong? What's wrong? Don't worry. Come Wednesday, when I have 3 shows again, the drinking will fire right back up. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Any other kind of interesting decision points for you on this slate before we wrap up here? We didn't really talk about the pass catchers much. Marquis Brown, Jarvis Landry. I do think those two offer a ton of upside as kind of contrarian captains. Do you have a preference on one of those two?
Yeah, Marquis Brown was the guy that I was going to ask you about because as of now, I have like basically none. So I think I still prefer if you are going to like try and go the high end of a Ravens pass catcher. I think I still prefer Mark Andrews. Just coming back again in this spot, like we're not going to get too far in the weeds, but it is a really good spot for tight ends overall if you care about that sort of thing. I don't know. I think I have some negative biases somehow for Hollywood. I used to like always play this guy. But he just hasn't been getting there. And it has a lot to do with like the upside of this offense as a whole. So in a game that we already project to not be like that high scoring, I think I would just rather try and grab the touchdown with Andrews. But what's ownership looking like? Like, I guess maybe not even the captain spot. Like, are these guys going to be still relatively similar?
Yeah, it's looking like Landry is definitely going to be more owned than Marquise Brown in both the captain and in the flex, and he's projecting slightly better. And I think it makes sense, right? Landry has a much higher floor than Marquise Brown, but I would say they probably have similar ceilings. Marquise Brown was in the air yards by low model this week. That model has been on fire this year for helping us target guys who are seeing a lot of opportunity. I think both of them are viable. There's a good question in here from Donnie about the weather. It was not on my radar. I just checked out Kevin Ross' weather report. I guess it's supposed to be pretty cold, and which isn't ideal, but he didn't think there was going to be much impact to anything other than maybe like super deep throws and kicks. So
how cold is this supposed to be?
15 degrees.
I don't think you really have to worry about it until it's like closer to 0, right? Maybe that's wrong. I know there's some data out there. Maybe 15 is borderline. I don't know.
Yeah.
No wind,
boy. I don't see any wind. We got on the ETR show, Leone flag planted the Hollywood Brown fade. Well, if there's anyone who has a stomach to fade a chalky play, it's Michael Leone. And I don't hate it, right? It's Marquise Brown is generally going to have a polarized range of outcomes. Like he's either going to be very bad or very good.
Yeah.
So let me see how much Marquise Brown I ended up with, Joe. I ended up with, oh boy. Okay. I am against Leone here. I have 63% Marquise Brown.
So I got to break the tie here.
You got to break the tie. You got to lean.
Hang on. Let me see what my last build was looking like because I changed all these Tomlinson teams, so I guarantee that like it looks a little different than it did before. I have I'm right in the middle of my two teams. I have one Marquise Brown right now.
Okay. So, someone mentioned this. Oh my, I forget that. I know Clay is just joking, but I forgot that people get mad when I say Leone's name.
The DFS celebrity. Yeah.
Yeah. DFS. Hey, he will be after this Sunday when he wins $2.5 million in the big Q. Or no, he's already queued. It's just in the big championship now. Mm-hmm. I saw one other thing. Greg says, Pete, it's like 32 degrees there. I'm just telling you what I saw. So if you want to take up the weather issues with Kevin Roth, who says 15 miles per hour at kickoff, you can take it up with him. I'm not going to argue weather takes right now.
I don't mind arguing weather takes. Like these weathermen, especially in Minnesota, like they're always wrong, man. I'd rather maybe we just fade weather.
Yeah. Maybe Greg hasn't updated wind chill into his weather model yet. You got to back test some of that stuff, Greg. Let's do this. I did see someone mention Mark Andrews captain. I like that. I like that idea a lot, honestly. And I ended up with a decent amount of Mark Andrews captain as well. Do you have any takes on that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think I prefer Andrews to Marquise Brown. But Pete, I think that one thing that we did on my show on Thursday that people really liked, like I know you're in the weeds doing your 20 max stuff with the optos, but like maybe we hand build one a show so you can add lineup builder to it because people love their lineup builders, man. I mean, people are just going to dupe us, so maybe we just don't give them like the complete answers to the test, but I don't know.
Yeah, please don't dupe us, bro. Just because Joe is feeling generous. I'm feeling generous. We have a bunch of you guys watching. Let's build a team. Are we going to throw it in the big one? Is that what we're trying to do? Is win $1 million tonight?
Yeah, let's do that. I was going to say, is there anything left in the 180 or is that full? That's full.
Dude, that's outside of my price range for Showdown.
Let's
Get out of here.
Let's throw in the lottery ticket thing. Like, should we make I don't know. Should we just literally just toss in an Eric Tomlinson captain? Do we just start there?
No, we're not doing an Eric
Tomlinson. How do you win these
captain.
lottery tickets then, man? We're trying not to get duped. I was duped 130 times yesterday. I was duped 3 times in the contest that mattered.
Hey, look, we can play Eric Tomlinson, and that's going to go a long ways into helping us not be duped. We don't have to do it in the captain slot. All right, we're going to build a lineup here. All right, I'll put my guy in. I mean, this clearly comes built with Eric Tomlinson. Your pick.
I like Kareem Hunt at captain, so I'm gonna wear that one for us, I think.
Okay, Kareem Hunt at captain. I love Mark Andrews. Let's get him in.
Okay. If we're playing Tomlinson and Mark Andrews, we probably have Lamar on this team, right?
Let's see. Yeah.
Is that bad with Kareem Hunt captain? What do you think?
No, I don't think so, because Kareem Hunt, I think, is going to play a ton in negative game script. So if we're playing a script where Lamar Jackson is balling out to his double tight ends, Kareem Hunt is on the field a ton because Chubb isn't playing in a negative game script. But I do think we need some more Browns pass catchers or get funky with some kicker stuff.
Do we want to go with one of these tight ends? Do we just play the all tight end team?
The all tight end team? Should we get Njoku in here?
We could. Yeah.
All right, let's get
Njoku. You prefer Njoku?
Oh, let's see. I mean, I do prefer, just like when you factor in price and all of that and ownership. Yeah, I think I do prefer Njoku.
Okay. He is the highest correlation to Kareem Hunt, our captain, so I'm on board.
Okay, there we go. So we're going to be in good shape because we're playing Tomlinson. Whatever we do, we're going to leave a lot of salary on the board here. And I do want to clarify, guys, this lineup is going to look gross. It's because we're going against 176,000 people and are trying not to be duped. We can't just go to all 176,000 of these people and say, please don't dupe us, bros. We have to do it ourselves, Joe. Who are we filling this lineup out with?
I don't know. I'm so distracted because Doozy's like my min tight end guy, like my min price tight end guy, and he seems like he's on board with the Tomlinson play. So that's really good for us right now. So yeah, we can do whatever we want. We have we probably don't want to go another Baltimore guy here, right? So do we want to just like jam in like the double running back team? Like I guess probably not with these tight ends, right? So what do we think? Is it just a Landry spot for this one?
I think it's probably a Landry spot. Yeah. I mean, we can literally play whoever.
I mean, we're trying to get weird here. Njoku, man, Njoku correlates horribly to everyone but Kareem Hunt.
Yeah,
not that really matters because he's cheap. But
let's do Landry.
Okay, I'm in.
Let's do Landry. We're gonna leave 8,000 on the table. We are not supposed to feel good about this. Look, I think
super chats.
The first super chat I have ever gotten. You guys, this person is saying you just lost $15 on this lineup. I'll make it $13 instead. So thank you, Terry, for the super chat there. Greatly appreciated. Let's answer this question. He is down 25 points, half point PPR, Landry or Higgins. This is a slam dunk.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's got to be Landry, right?
Yeah. You got to go Landry there. He's just projecting so much better. I know Higgins is going to get used a little bit further down the field, but you have to go with Landry.
Hang on, I'm trying to figure out super chats right now. I've never done this before.
What do you mean?
I'm trying to figure out how to do them. There we go. In before super chat locks. That's pretty easy. The super chat thing, you literally just like you put
Joe. It's actually $750 that you owe me because it was $15 for the lineup. So I think you're $250 short, but we can just settle that off stream, Joe.
Okay, that's fair. I'll take my percentage. Whatever $5 gets me, that's what I'll go with.
Yeah.
Can you tell Andrea that? Because she claims she has a bigger percentage of that win last night than I think is fair.
Yeah, as we wrap up here, let us know on the home front here. Were you guys in cahoots building this lineup? Is this like a Jade and Tanner situation, or was this your beautiful mind?
So basically what happened is I was really upset after like a terrible DFS day and just a lot of other things that were making me mad, like all the T.Y. Hilton people in the chat. Outside of that, I basically got off the tilt space and I was kind of building as we were going just because I was annoyed and trying to figure out what contest I was going to play. So I texted Andrew. I was like, hey, come in here if you want to play. We do 2 lineups. And I was like, I kind of feel like we just go with the number 1 wide receiver on both sides. She obviously picks the ones that just can't catch anything. So that was not ideal, but we did have Stephon Diggs, the American hero, at captain on the other team, but we had like a very tight core overall. And the reason we had the tight core is I'm just like, okay, these are our value options. We have this Washington guy. We could play a kicker, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah. Well, let's play Washington. She's like very adamant about one play on the slate. And normally like, I don't ignore that because she like, I don't know. She's usually right. It's weird. So yeah, we locked Washington. He got the only touchdown in the beginning. Like, oh, we're going to win everything. And then we're just sweating basically a field goal at the end, just cheering for every first down because the game needed to end. And only duped twice in the 180. So it's nice to run good at the end, I guess. But we kind of we had three similar, we had basically of the 6 players on our rosters, we had 3 locked. And then it was basically, I think it was Ben, it was Deontay captain, Ben, and I don't know, someone else. And then mine was a Diggs captain with Allen and I think someone else on the Bills. So it was very similar. It was like almost like a 2v2 off each other, just different captains. But hitting on like that lower own value play was kind of the big thing. And I guess it really didn't even threaten anything in the large field. So we're just going to keep running it back in this 180. That's like 2K. So I guess we got pretty lucky with that one because that's pretty large. But I like the $75. That's like 200 people. They have a couple smaller ones as well. Like that are only like, I think there's a $25 that has like 130 people. I like that one quite a bit. But I think those are fun. And then basically is my lineup versus hers. She's been just absolutely dusting me most of the year. But I still have the biggest cash though. So I'm still the DFS showdown thought leader in the household, at least for the time being. She didn't want to play today. She only wants to play the fun game. She doesn't want to play this game.
Wow.
She wanted to play last night when it's
look at doesn't Andrea know you got to let a heater ride?
I mean, you would think she's taking her money and running. Apparently,
that's what you told me. You told me to never leave a heater, Joe.
Okay, you never walk away from a heater. Number one. Number two, she doesn't understand the importance of tax implications, Pete, and that's the main thing here.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right,
she's gonna go buy a purse or something.
And then we're going to get out of here. Who your favorite player for the perfect lineup? I like both of these Ravens tight ends. Mark Andrews on the high end. My guy, Eric Tomlinson at the low end. Do you have one?
I guess apparently I'm all in on Kareem Hunt right now. So I think that as the value option of that backfield, he's the guy that I would prefer, especially if we think Lamar is going to get out ahead of this one. And I kind of like Willie Snead for leverage, even though it's kind of gross overall. But yeah, we're just gonna win everything with this $200 value play, man. I'm on board with that. I might just lock them for the laughs.
There you go, guys. Well, we really appreciate you guys tuning in. Like I said, we will be back on Thursday on Joe's channel. I don't even know. Wait, Joe, do we not have Thursday games this week?
I have no idea. We should figure this out.
We're to Saturday games. I could be wrong, but I think we're to Saturday.
No, there's a Thursday game. We got Chargers, Raiders.
Okay, all right. That's happening soon. I think we get the Saturday games.
We have a Mega Million that slate as well. A 3K buy-in Mega Million for. So I guess I'm just going to run a Keenan Allen captain. I might just build that team right now and not even look at it ever again.
There we go. So we will be back. Sorry for the confusion there. We do get 2 Saturday games this week. It's just we also get the Thursday. So another long week of football ahead. Good luck in your showdown slates. Please do not at me if Eric Tomlinson bagels. Feel free to at me if you win a tournament with him. Any other final words here, Joe?
We're not allowed to end the stream until you get 100 likes. So I'm down to hang out and drink more wine if you want.
100? How many likes do we have right now?
You're at 90. So, I mean, I think that's 90? A reasonable ask. We got almost 300 people in the chat right now. So I don't know. Maybe we'll just hang out and we'll get you back on the drink. Like 100 likes and Pete has a drink. Maybe I don't know. Oh, it's already way over. You got to goad him into it, Pete. I know you needed this YouTube thing. You got to just fire at the chat.
Please dupe me, bro. Please dupe me, bro. No, I'm not drinking tonight. I will drink on Wednesday. I'm taking 2 nights off.
Fade everything he just said.
Hang on. Unless I win a GPP with Eric Tomlinson, I will bust open champagne and I will go live on Periscope with you tonight, Joe.
I mean, totally. Yeah. I'm going to lock him right now.
All right, guys. Appreciate you hanging out. Good luck tonight. May all your Eric Tomlinson dreams come true. We will see you on Thursday.